Hi guys, so this video is going to be about the dominoes that led to the start of World War One. What I need from you before you start this lesson is make sure you have your packet out. There's extra copies on Google Classroom if you lost it. You should have filled out these parts with the primary sources, but these right here, okay, are going to be your notes for today. Okay, so I'll get a copy to show you. So they're going to be fill in the blanks, okay, per slide. So make sure you are following along with the lecture and getting those blanks filled in. So we're continuing our domino metaphor. And before we start, I just want to kind of give you a visual of overall what this war is and how it kind of starts. It's a mess. Because it starts out with two groups, okay, two countries against each other, but then it just kind of snowballs into now this country's on this side, now this country's on this side, and it's just really chaotic. It would be like if two kids were on the playground and they're walking towards, you see them, they're walking towards each other and they look like they're going to fight. And then this kid's friend way over here just comes up and punches this kid in the face. You would look at that and be like, this kid over here wasn't even involved. It was just between these two and they didn't even start fighting yet. So it's just chaotic like that. So our first domino comes when France begins to build arms. So this is the post Franco-Prussian War, and they're beginning to build their arms, build up their weapons. And that's really suspicious. Okay, if you see a country like collecting guns and building up their weapons, you would be like, what are you guys doing? You got something planned or something? And that's exactly what Germany feels like. Germany sees them building arms and immediately is like, okay, we're forming an alliance with Austria-Hungary, because Austria-Hungary was an enemy of France. France is continuing to build their arms, and Germany's like, nope. We got to get ready. But like France hasn't done anything yet. But that is, I think, a valid reason to be worried. I don't know if I would jump to conclusions and siding with the enemy, with France's enemy right there. But anyway, that's what they do. So domino number 3 is Bosnia and Herzegovina is annexed by Austria-Hungary in 1908. So we see these two countries being added or annexed into Austria-Hungary. So what's interesting about that, though, is they're adding land, right? They're gaining territory. And I think that's what most wars are fought about, is power, right? You want more power. So that is what Austria-Hungary is doing, trying to gain power. Oh, there we go. Oop, okay. Domino number 4, Italy joins Germany and Austria-Hungary, and they create the triple threat, the triple alliance. So we see alliances start to form between different countries when it really just started out with Germany being paranoid about France. Then we have domino number 5, Russia forms an alliance with France. Okay, so they see Germany forming their alliance. France is like, oh, okay, we need to form an alliance with Russia then. So we see all different countries getting involved, and Russia's worried too, right? Nobody wants to go to war for obvious reasons, right? It kills people and it costs a lot of money. Emphasis on the killing people. So people are worried when they start to make these alliances. It's getting pretty serious pretty fast. Then we have domino number 6. Germany is building up their navy. They're getting ready for war, making it very obvious by building up their ships, warships, okay, navy. Then we see domino number 7, which is Britain joining France and Russia. Britain was a very reluctant ally of France. Britain was like, almost like, France comes to them and is like, hey, you gonna help us out? And Britain's like, yeah, I think. And Britain's worried too. Okay. Everybody's worried. Domino number 8, Serbia joins Russia. And Serbia was scared of Austria. They were ruled over by Austrian officials, and they were just had enough with Austria. So Russia promises them protection from Serbia, or from Austria, sorry. Russia offers Serbia protection from Austria. And so they join Russia. So we see down here in that chart, the different alliances forming, okay? And we see how they're all connected in that Venn diagram, right? Some of them overlap. So it's really confusing, especially on the war front, who's siding with who. So domino number 9, this is where, oh my God, this is crazy. So the heir to the Austrian throne, Franz Ferdinand, is actually assassinated by a Serbian national. And the story about this is very interesting and very weird. And you would be like, why did he do that? And I'm gonna be like, bro, I don't even know. So he basically would drive around in this open air vehicle. And if you know anything about public officials, they don't do that. Okay. You think about JFK, John F. Kennedy, he was assassinated when riding in a convertible. Okay. Open air vehicles, not great for public officials, but he does it anyway. There's no protection for him, right? He does it anyway. And he's driving around, and these assassins start to throw bombs at his car, and they actually miss his car and hit 2 police officers on the side. So he escapes an assassination attempt once. So you would think after your first assassination attempts, you would be like, maybe I should reevaluate what I'm doing or go into hiding, okay? Or both. He does neither and goes back out in his open air car with no protection. And he goes to visit the police officers that were injured by the bombing. And when he's leaving the hospital, his driver takes a wrong turn, and it just, guys, I can't even describe this. It just so happens to pull up next to one of the failed assassins who had previously tried to kill him. And so he is shot and killed. And so the heir to the Austrian throne, Franz Ferdinand, dies, I would say, because of poor choices. Especially after your first assassination attempt, you'd think he would go into hiding, but he did not. So domino number 10, there's still hostility and tension between Serbia and Austria because of this assassination attempt. So we see that tension start to rise. So everyone's fighting at this point. Then we see Russia begin to mobilize, right? They're starting to move their troops, march. And this is where we see war kind of starting as they're mobilizing their troops. Then we see Germany finally declaring war on Russia. And this is where everything just starts to come to fruition. All this fighting, all this pettiness throughout this whole time here, we see it finally start to begin the war between Germany declaring war on Russia. Oh my God, what is this? Did you guys see that? I was like coloring it in. That's weird. Okay. Domino number 13, France mobilizes to back up Russia. Okay, so as we see Russia mobilizing, France begins to mobilize as well to back them up. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's doing it again. Do you see this? It's kind of cool. I mean, if I wasn't trying to do something productive, I would think that was cool. Okay. And then we see Germany marching through Belgium. Because France had a bunch of people stationed on their border, Germany thought they could just cut through Belgium to get to France. And Belgium was neutral at this point, so they thought, oh, they'll be fine with it. They'll just let us pass through. They were not fine with it, and it did not end well. We see Belgians kind of fighting this, right? Telling them, no, you cannot march through here. We're not going to let you. So everyone's just getting involved. And then we see Britain declaring war on Germany. And this is where everybody's alliance starts to back them up. So this chart shows the triple entity, that alliance in the yellow, and then the Central Powers in the pink, and those countries that were neutral. Switzerland, I don't know what they do. I think we need to take notes because they are always neutral. And I don't know why. They just keep getting away with it, but they do. So here we see the United States entering World War I. They remained neutral throughout the beginnings, and the citizens are supporting Britain. President Wilson, his slogan for his second term, what he gets elected on, is "He kept us out of the war." So that is his campaign slogan. So why did we finally join the fight? Numerous reasons that I'm going to go over. The first is the sinking of the Lusitania. It was carrying weapons to allies, and it was also carrying 1,200 passengers, and 128 were Americans. So we see this sinking kind of become a turning point in us maybe joining the war. Then we see the Zimmerman telegram. Germany is sending a telegram to Mexico asking them to fight America with the promise of conquering some of our land. And it's intercepted by Britain, and Britain is like, bro, they're writing about you and it's not good. So this pushes, when this comes out, this pushes the public opinion towards going to war. So here's the Zimmerman telegram. I would pause to read this. It's really interesting and the actual document that we can look at. Oh my God, it's doing it again. All right. The Sussex Pledge. German submarines attack what they thought was a warship, but it was actually a French passenger steamer. So that is very unfortunate. So they create the Sussex Pledge, which is basically Germany promising to warn their ships before attacking. They're like, we promise we'll warn you, so this doesn't happen again. And this hurts U.S. public opinion of Germany as well. Oh, that's the bell. Oh, and I will finish this in a moment. Let me pause. Okay, sorry, this took me so long to get back up to you. If you're watching this from beginning to end, it only took a second, but I'm now at home and not at school. So if you hear any chewing in the background, that is my dog. She just found a bone that's like 87 years old that she hid somewhere. So sorry for the noise. So the Russian Revolution, by 1917, 1.5 million people are dead and 2.5 million people are captured from Russia. And then we have in 1917, Tsar Nicholas, meaning a Tsar is like basically a leader, the Emperor of Russia. The Emperor of Russia, Nicholas II, was forced out. There's this huge revolution, and a Republican government is born. So this is another reason that leads to World War I. Okay, and if you're into musicals, if you love that sort of thing, I'm a huge musical fan. Don't think about Les Mis. That is not the Russian Revolution. The musical that does depict part of this, at least the aftermath, and all throughout it actually, is Anastasia. And I have some clips at the end of this slideshow. If you want to click on those on your own time and watch those, I really, really recommend it. One is like a 360 view of a Broadway performance of a song that they did that you can move around to kind of see all the angles. So supporting Britain, we are going to war with Britain, not only because of the Russian Revolution, but also to support Britain. It's Britain versus Germany, and it's basically a war against those two as to who can have the most powerful navy. And the Germans have what's called the U-boat on their side. And that was basically their only tool they had against the British blockade. They were blocking them in, and the U-boat was their only piece of technology that they had. And the American news becomes biased. I feel like we saw that in previous units, where they're kind of taking sides and kind of fabricating some of the evidence against the Germans. And that's what really sways the public opinion, is this information that the newspapers are feeding them. So finally, the United States declares war between March 16th and March 18th. Germany sinks 3 US ships, and by April 6th, war was declared. And that is how we are officially now involved in World War I. So World War I research project, just again, make sure we're working on that. There's a post on Google Classroom. I'm going to record that in just a second, so you'll see me in this setting too. Make sure you're working on that. If you have any questions, make sure you check Google Classroom first. Make sure you talk to your group members and then ask me, okay? And then here are those videos. I really recommend, let me see if I can circle it. This one, let's see if I can, there we go. This one, oh, undo, okay. This one right here is the one where you can maneuver around and go all 360 view. You can go up and down while they're performing. It's so good, guys. Even if you just watch it for a little bit, you'll have a lot of fun, okay? This one is just like a little trailer, a short little song. Basically, it's also a cartoon. It talks about the life of Anastasia Romanov, who was Tsar Nicholas's, the Emperor of Russia, who got booted out and later assassinated. The whole family did. It talks about the conspiracy was that one daughter had survived, and that was Anastasia. So it kind of talks about that. They later found her remains, so it's not true that she survived, but it's a really, really good story, and I really recommend watching these videos and looking into it. Oh, we're not gonna watch it, don't worry. Okay, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.